All right, grade 5, let's go over our place value unit review. Okay, so number 1 asks what the value of each underlined digit is. So if you look at the 5 here, the ones place, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s place. So if you wrote 50,000 or 10,000s place, both of those would be right. If I look here, the 9 is underlined, the 8 is in the ones place, the 9 is in the tens place. So if you wrote 90 or tens place, that would be right. Number 1, ones place, tens place, hundreds place, thousands place, 10,000s place, 100,000s place. So if you wrote 700,000 or 100,000s place, those would both be right. Here, it says write each number in standard form. If we remember what standard form, it is just the number. So right here, this is expanded form. So we know that 800,000 plus 9,000 plus 30 plus 5. Well, we look at the first number. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 digits. So we know that our number has to have 6 digits. If we work backwards, our 5 is in the ones place. 3 for 30 is in the tens place. There's nothing in the hundreds place. There's no hundreds place here, so we have a 0 there. In the thousands place, there's a 9. In the 10,000s place, there is no 10,000s place. And in the 100,000s place, we know there's an 8 because we see that there. 530,000, 50, 500, 30,000, nothing in the hundreds place, 50. 60,000 plus 5,000 plus 800 plus 20 plus 1, 65,821 is our standard form. Okay, number 3 asks us to order the numbers in question 1 from least to greatest. Well, here's our question 1. Here's our 3 numbers. Which number is the smallest number? If we look here, 12,098 comes first. Then we look at the next number, 554,113 comes next, and then the greatest number is 700,008,341. Okay, number 4 says write 3 numbers that are greater than 789,000 and less than 792,349. Okay, there's many numbers in between these two numbers, so I just wrote a few. Here it's asking you to write 3. So here's a few of the numbers that you could have written. There's many other numbers in between these two that you could have written. Okay, now part B is estimation, and I've actually done the estimation part on the whiteboard so we can understand it better. So number 5, it asks us to explain how you would write an estimate for 67,893 to the closest 1,000 and the closest 10,000. Okay, so if I'm looking here at this number, where they want us to round to the closest 1,000. So here, the 7 is in the thousands place. I'm going to look to the right of the number, so 8. It's going to tell us to round up or down. So if any number is higher than 5, we're rounding up. If the number is lower than 5, we're rounding down. Okay, well, in this case, it's an 8, so it's higher than a 5. We know that 68,000 is our closest 1,000. Okay, now if we look here, 67,893, they want us to round to the closest 10,000. Okay, so we're looking at the 6 in this case, and then to the right is a 7. A 7 is higher than 5, so we know that we're rounding to 70,000, okay? And just that explanation that I explained to you here is good enough for explaining it. Okay, so you find the number in the 10,000s place, you look to the number to the right, it will tell you to either round up or down, and that's number 5. Number 6 is asking us to estimate each sum or difference. Explain your strategy. Okay, so A, B, and C, I have them written here. A, 1,756 plus 4,521. They want us to round. So we know here if we round to the nearest thousand, that the 7 is going to tell us to round to 2,000. And here the 5 is going to tell us to round. We're looking at the thousands place. The 5 is going to tell us to round up to 5,000. So 2,000 plus 5,000. And then your answer. And then you just explain that you rounded to the nearest thousand. Okay, for B, if we look here, we're rounding to the nearest 100. Okay, so this number is in our hundreds place. 0 is telling us we're going to round and stay at 2,900 minus 533. Okay, the 5 is in the hundreds place. This 3 is telling us to round down because it's lower than 5. Okay, here you can just explain that you rounded to the nearest 100. In this case, 23,542. If we're rounding to the nearest 10,000s place, okay, we're either going to round down to 20 or up to 30. And if we look here in this place, this number is going to tell us we're rounding down to 20,000. Here, 95,049. In this case, we're looking at this number. We're going to round up to 100,000, okay? And then just the explanation that you rounded to the nearest 10,000. All right, moving on to number 7. Here it's asking us to add or subtract. How do you know the answer is reasonable? Okay, so same thing here. We know that 46. If we look at the 4, the 6 is going to tell us to round up to 50,000. Here we look at the 7 to the 2 here is going to tell us to round down. And then you're just explaining that you rounded to the nearest 10,000. Okay, in this case, in number 8, they're minusing. Okay, so this 4, if we're rounding to the nearest thousands place, in this case, okay, the 4, we look to the 0, it's going to tell us to round down to 54,000. Here, we're looking at the 7 is going to tell us to round up to 6,000. In this case, you're stating that you're rounding to the nearest thousand.